Today on Look Who It Is, Brooke Lee is here. We talk about the years behind the big moments, her Chevy campaign, and her new EP, Desert Darling, coming out April 17th. All right, Brooke Lee, thanks for coming on.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we get started with anything else, what is your earliest memory of music feeling bigger than just a hobby?
Bigger than just a hobby was probably when I was 19. In my first time coming to Nashville, I went to college for 3 months and dropped out, and I was still pursuing music at the time with the band that I had. But I never realized how big it could be and the potential of it for being like a career until I came to Nashville. So that would have been 19.
What did it feel like the first time you came to Nashville at 19?
There was some magic to it for sure. I didn't know a thing about Nashville other than music and country music. And my first day in town, I got to go to a studio and record for the first time and experience all of that. And I remember walking down Broadway. It just felt very magical. And I'd never seen so much live music before. So it was very intriguing and definitely very eye opening. It put a drive in me to want to get here, which we did. So it was a good first experience.
Before you came to Nashville, did anybody see music in you before you did?
My mom definitely saw it first. When I was really little, my grandparents were pastors, so I used to go sit and watch my grandfather play piano before his services, and I was just so in awe of it. And he got me started singing in church really little. And so my mom just always kind of spoke it over me, and she always told me that she would have dreams of me singing overseas of people and just really felt like music was what I was going to do. And then when I was 15, I started my first band. And so people started to really hear me and realize that it was something I wanted to do. And a lot of people were very supportive of it.
What did your earlier shows then teach you that you couldn't have learned any other way?
I think the biggest thing is stage presence and your energy and connecting with crowds. When I was 13, I saw this band Blue Monday back home. My dad took me. And I was so amazed by the way that she entertained the crowd, and not just entertained, but she like had them in her hand. And she was so emotional with every song, even doing covers. She felt everything. And then you felt it. And so I always knew I wanted to create that feeling when I was on stage. And when I first got started, it was not like that. I stood very still, and my dad used to get on me and tell me to move around. But I learned, and I feel like once I got to town and we started getting on the road, I realized how much having those chops and that reputation really helped me to be where I am now as a performer. But the biggest thing, just entertaining people, and the more energy you put out, the more you're going to get back.
Did you ever have any humbling moments?
The first time that I ever played was pretty crazy. I got up and we were doing Led Zeppelin by Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin, and my mic was not turned on. I was just screaming at the top of my lungs, and I was like, okay, this is how this is going to go. Good start to it. But I've had a couple moments. One of the scariest things ever is singing the national anthem, and I am honored anytime I get to do it, but it is so nerve-wracking. And I remember in middle school, I was so pumped I was going to do it at a pep rally. I told everybody, and then my voice cracked when I did it, and I did not live that down for so long. So I've had a few moments here and there, and some older too, but those are way more memorable now for me.
I know. I'll see some videos sometimes of people singing the national anthem. There's no way I could ever do that.
It's so scary. I had the biggest honor this last year. I did it at the Yankee Stadium for a Savannah Bananas game. It was sold out, and it was so cool. But the whole way there, I didn't talk to Meg at all. I was just like, I can't. And I'm sure she thought I was mad, but I was just so scared. So it's a good feeling once it's over.
Those banana games, it's like impossible to get tickets to those things.
Insane. Yeah. It was wild. I've always wanted to go to one, so I was very glad it worked out. But
So I guess at 19 you came here, but when did you say this is who I am, and not thinking that I just love music?
I feel like when I first got, so I moved to Nashville when I was 21. And I feel like even in my first year, I started writing more once I got to town, but it wasn't a huge part of my daily life until about a year into being in here. And I feel like I was still playing a lot of cover gigs. I was playing Broadway and doing closing shifts 5 or 6 nights a week. And so I feel like I was still very much in the cover gig world and wasn't thinking as big like as being an artist and what all of that looks like and the branding that comes with it until I started writing more. So probably my second year in Nashville, and that really opened doors for me to start discovering myself more. And then I signed my first publishing deal in my second year in town. And I feel like that's when it really started kicking in. It got pretty serious for me. I always really wanted it, and there was never anything else I wanted to do but music. I loved it, but it got a lot more serious after I was in town for a good year or two.
Was that intimidating or scary?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I mean, again, writing was very new to me, so it was always really scary going into rooms, at least at first, with people I had never met, and still trying to discover who I was as a person and being able to translate that to being an artist. There was just a lot of unknowns. And so navigating that, and then I would go to writers rounds and want to make connections, and you're watching all these heavy hitter artists and writers playing, and it was just like, how do I get into their world, into their conversations? And the biggest thing was just making relationships and meeting people, and that was really tough for me at first, but I feel like it's just something you get comfortable in, and now it's really fun being in the world.
Do you remember your first sit down, right?
My first was with Bruce Birch, who has since passed, but he was like my grandfather in town. He was the one who called me. A random 615 number called me when I was 19 and told me to come to Nashville. It was Bruce. So him and I wrote my first song together. And I remember when I first got to town, even before I came and moved, I would come back and visit here and there and have some writes. But once it started getting more consistent, yeah, it just started kicking in and it got a lot more fun. It's crazy. But I do remember that first one. I was so nervous. Bruce had a dictionary and he was just so like in his zone on how he would write songs. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no flow here. So it was really fun learning from him and learning in those first several sessions with people until I found my flow.
Sometimes when you write, do you still like think of him and how he would write a song?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. And honestly, everything that I do, he gets brought up. I mean, anytime there's a proud of you moment, my team over at Spirit's like, hey, just a reminder, Bruce is really proud of you. But he was the best. When I was 19 and came here, he had cancer and he laid in the studio on this couch for 9 hours. And he's like, I'm not leaving until my brookie is done. And he was just so supportive of me. And still has people calling me to check in on me. And he's been gone a good 3 years, almost 4 years now. So a very, very special relationship. And I'm reminded of him all the time.
So when you're on Broadway, what was like your typical work week like?
I would 5 or 6 nights a week be downtown, and I would play 10 p.m. to 2:45 a.m. I'd always leave and call my mom. It'd be 3:30 every morning. I'm like, what am I doing? But I would go home. I would let my dog out, and then I would go to burn boot camp and work out at 5 a.m. Come back, go to sleep, and then once I woke up, I either would have writing sessions or a writer's round, and then it was back downtown doing it again. And it was a hustle, and the hustle hasn't stopped and the grind hasn't stopped, but it's in a much healthier way now. That was such a tough lifestyle, but we did it for about 2 years.
What was the most unhealthiest thing about it?
um just I mean, mentally it was exhausting. I was so tired all the time, and physically too, all the way around, just exhausted. And when I'm that tired, I don't function well at all. And I just feel like I lost sight of things. I wasn't working out consistently. You're finishing gigs at 3 a.m. and probably going to cook out, and like you're just not prioritizing your needs and just hanging on for dear life. And it caught up with me for sure.
So then when you do writers' rooms, when you're doing that, what surprised you the most when you'd get in there?
it was always really fun getting in, or it still is getting in there and seeing how people work. And like you, now I go into a room and I can almost kind of predict how the day is going to go, like certain people on my calendar. Um, but before, it was always a surprise. Like, what is this day going to be like? I've never met this person before. I was always really amazed how people would open up their stories and like where they've been at life. And then that was always such a good thing for me because it translated to me doing the same thing in the rooms I'm in now. And just having honesty in rooms is so important, getting vulnerable. So I think that was a surprising thing when I first started writing people, just how open they were with me, and where they have been, and creating that comfortable space for everybody.
Now, do you write with some of the same people consistently?
Oh yeah, Danielle Blakey, who produced my upcoming project Desert Darling, she is my go-to girl. She's someone that we always write with tracks, so she's a great producer, and every time I go in, she has a vibe built out, and they're always the coolest thing ever. And then Justin Richards, he's probably my favorite writer in town to work with, and him and I will just sit down, him and I on a guitar, and just talk life and stories, and things just come out so fast. I mean, we were always writing like 30 minutes to an hour, and I get my favorite songs with them, but those two are my people for sure.
So when you see your schedule for that day and you see it's them or something, you're always pretty
I'm
excited.
so amped. Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna get my next single, or like something great's gonna come out of this, and it almost happens every time.
Take me through the day you got the call for the Chevy commercial.
Yes. Well, I found out there was the opportunity. I was recording, it was the last song on my project that's coming out. And Frank Rogers, who is the head of Spirit, he called. He was like, "Hey, girl, there's a 10% chance that you're going to get offered this Chevy commercial. However, your calendar is blocked for all of January," because I was going to Australia. And he was like, "We got to get this figured out because if you get this, you better be here." And of course, I was all in. So we got it all sorted out. And about a week went by, and there were some different things in between. And they ended up calling, and I got on a Zoom call with Steve, who's the CMO of Chevy, and their whole team. And the call was pretty fun because the first half of it was so dragged out. And I was sitting right here. I'm like, I'm not getting this. They are about to break it to me. And then they ended up letting me know I got it. And it was very emotional and very exciting. I've always said if I want to partner with people that I can really proudly and truly represent, and vice versa. And what Chevy stands for and what this campaign stood for with getting people to, or encouraging people to get out and see America, is what I'm about, especially with touring. And I'm such a road tripper. And then the other part of that was getting to recreate Dinah Shore's See the USA in Your Chevrolet campaign, or the song. And my grandparents knew every word to that song. So I called them, they freaked out. And when they were kids, they used to watch it all the time. So it was really special getting to put my voice on it, and finding out was the most insane day. I get chills literally every time I get asked about it. Hmm.
And then the first airing of it was when?
During the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, which was epic. We were on the road with Needtobreathe at the time, and we were at a restaurant eating, and we made sure the Olympics were on, and we knew what time around it was going to be airing. And we saw it come on the first go around, which is wild. And then that night, we never have TVs in our green room, but we happened to have a TV, and we got done with our set. And right when we walked in, we all sat down and it came on. So it was really epic to see it actually on TV and knowing the work and stuff that went behind it. It's a pretty magical moment.
And that's going to be airing for a while too.
It's got some time left. I'm very excited. It's been so random. Like, I've had people sending me videos at gas stations, and this girl that I was babysitting, her mom said that she saw it on Disney Plus and freaked out. And so it's been neat seeing all the people it's hitting.
So do you think getting the call to do the commercial or seeing it for the first time was more exciting?
Crazy enough, I think getting the call, because we knew it was such a long shot, and it felt so right. I've said this from the day one. I had such a peace about it, and I had such a good feeling about it, but still it felt very out of reach. So when we got it, that was the craziest call and moment. I mean, it was insane seeing it on TV, and still is. But I think the experience leading up to it doesn't touch anything.
What kind of experience was it actually filming it?
Well, we went out to Moab, Utah, and it was so fun. It was cold. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be freezing. Being January 3rd is when we flew out. But the wind, that is what got us. It was pretty chilly. And we filmed on a couple different days, one of those being my birthday. So my 26th birthday, I got to go in a helicopter. I'd never been in a helicopter before. And they flew me up after flying the truck up in the Black Hawk. And we flew up and filmed it. We were up there for a good like hour and a half, 2 hours. But on my birthday, it was super neat. I love sunrises so much, and I love feeling small. Those are a couple of my favorite little things. And had never felt so tiny in my life. Like, it truly felt like we were on top of the world. And we sat that morning and watched the sun come up all the way around us, and it was stunning. I have not had an experience like that before.
When you're up there, was it hard to focus on doing the commercial?
The director, Derek Sanford, who is amazing, top notch guy. He was very encouraging just to take it all in, and he just kept telling me take it all in. And when it would get really cold, he would tell the whole team up there, like, stay hungry, remind yourselves why we're here, take it in. You're probably not going to be able to come back up here again. And so it was a really neat thing because yes, I was up there and I really was singing and I really was playing, but I feel like I was truly in just awe of what was around me and encouraged to take it in. So I would say I was pretty focused. I was also freezing, and I knew that for every good take we did, I would get a moment with my jacket. So that was a good motivator to stay in the moment.
So you've opened for some pretty big names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started the year out with Needtobreathe, and they are some of the kindest humans I've ever met before anything. They're just so kind. And watching their set was really special. It was a very fill your cup way to start the year. Just their music's incredible. They are so talented. It was an acoustic version of instead of like their full rock show. Very intimate, and seeing the way they connected and the way they talked to their crowds, it was really neat. I feel like I soaked up a lot watching their shows. Willie Nelson was one of the first tours that I got to go on and play some shows with, and another just sitting side stage and watching him sing these songs and hearing them, it felt like I was hearing them for the first time. And I always say that moment in particular really reminded me that I want longevity in this career. And it's so easy to get so wrapped up in, I want it faster or I want it now. But being out with Willie really reminded me that this is not a quick race. You know, we're here for the long haul, and as long as we're taking steps and moving forward, then we're making progress, and can't ask for more than that. So we've had a lot of really awesome opportunities. Wade is like an uncle to me. He is the best. I got to ride in a tour bus and stay on a tour bus the first time with Wade, and just so many awesome people. And it's always extremely special when they trust you to share their stage and to share their audience. And it only helps us. I mean, it's all we want to do is tour. So we're very lucky to have some people who have asked us to come out.
So with Needtobreathe recently, is that something they reach out to you?
That was a really neat situation. Their manager's wife found a video of mine on social media, and then told Steve, her husband, you've got to figure out who this girl is. And he ended up reaching out to my booking agent and got connected with Meg, my manager, and we went out. Meg and I are very big on relationships, and I feel like that is a winning token for this town. And so her and I went to New York for the Savannah Banana game, actually, and we took a train to Connecticut, and we went and we hung out with Steve a little bit, who's Needtobreathe's manager, and he ended up offering us some shows and has been so supportive to us and everything we've got going on.
Were they somebody that you listened to before? And
oh yeah, oh my gosh, we were all freaking out. The whole crew, we listened to them growing up. My mom loved Needtobreathe, and so it was a really cool win for the kids and us kind of thing.
Was it fun getting to tell her?
Oh yeah, and she came to a show. That was another really neat part about that tour, is every single night somebody's parent came to the show. So we had family each night. That was the most epic way to start the year.
So then now you have an upcoming EP.
Yes, called Desert Darling. So that comes out April 17th. I'm very, very excited. captures my 19 to 25 era. We put out a lot of singles last year. Every 6 weeks, we were putting a new single out, and the conversation of starting a project came up. And I felt like I had lived a lot of life in between 19 and 25. It felt like a chapter, and there was a lot to share there, but also I was ready to close that door. So we ran with it, and we wanted it to be a whole concept. So if you listen from track 1 through 6, there's a whole storyline of kind of where I was at 19 to where I'm now. I say it's my becoming EP. But I'm so excited. I feel like there's going to be something on it for everybody, and it's all based on true experiences that I've walked through. And I think it's the perfect project if you're already a fan, already listening, to get to know me better as a human, but also to anybody who has never heard of me before. It's the perfect introduction project. So I'm very excited. We worked hard on it.
How many songs did you originally have to work with?
Well, we knew it was going to, well, actually, we thought it was only going to be a 5 song EP, and it wasn't even going to be called Desert Darling. We had a different title for it. And Danielle and I got in a room together and we wrote Desert Darling. We thought, let's just see what happens. If we get one more good song, cool. If not, no big deal. But we didn't really have the love song for the EP yet. So that is what we did. We wrote Desert Darling, and it ended up being the title of the EP, and then made it a 6 track project. But we worked through several songs, but honestly, there was only 1 or 2 that we had already had finished that we knew we wanted to record for this project. We wrote a lot for it because we were very specific with what we wanted to say. So we kind of worked backwards and got the songs as we figured out what we wanted to say on it.
So did you start off with an idea on, like, you'd have the first song where you were 19 and then you're like, all right, I need to go into the next stage of my life, and would write a song based on the next stage?
Yeah. There's a lot of conversation, which is the important part of like having those people you can really talk to and dig through things with. But the first song, it's called Kissing a Stranger, and it's kind of that spring break free love, not thinking of anything, you're just having fun. And it was like, okay, well, where do we go after this? We only have 6 songs or however many songs to get all of this out. So then it moves into like a love song, and you have your Burn to Black, which is out. I wouldn't even consider so much of it is the breakup song, but it's that space in between like the breakup and kind of dating again. And then it moves into a story with Meg, my best friend, and a big part of our life. And it goes into, okay, now I'm on my own and I'm living for myself. There's a line in the last song that says, learn the difference between lonely and alone. And I feel like that was such a huge life lesson for me, is to learn how to be by myself and be comfortable in that space. So it's really neat. Another line, Kissing a Stranger talks about feeling weightless because of somebody else, whereas the last song on the EP talks about being weightless on your own, and just because you've got that high on life, and like you deserve all you can have in life just simply because. And so it's really neat, the transition there. But it was a lot of just talking through life stories and getting really honest in the rooms, and then kind of deciding, okay, what will people and what I listen to connect with most.
When you were writing them, did you ever have to like pull back and think, well, this might be a little too much of me or too emotional?
There were a few times I noticed, like, on little details that I would say, I mean, like the tiny details, like, is this too specific to me? Or like, there was a couple moments of like, are they going to understand what I'm trying to say here? But I just really leaned into, if it's true to me and I can connect with it, then somebody else will. So we kept it pretty honest. I don't feel like we had held back very much on it.
So you have a publishing deal, and then you've done a Chevy commercial. You got this EP coming out, but what would you say that's something that people might misunderstand about where you are right now?
I mean, I just feel like I'm in the middle of it right now. I feel like it's always interesting on the outside looking in how people, and this is, I feel like, talked about all the time. It looks like an overnight thing, or it looks like all of a sudden something's happening. But even with the Chevy commercial, it didn't feel like out of nowhere we just got this huge opportunity, because for us and our team, the prior 3 years in my deal, we had been working our butts off to make sure that we were in a position ready to accept an opportunity like that. Because truly, if I had got this Chevy offer 6 months earlier, a year earlier, I don't think I would have been in the place that I needed to be in order to really do my role and accept it, because it's a lot of change that comes with it. And so I think, people don't realize the grind and the work that comes before it. And, the calling your mom crying on Broadway moments and all of that. There's a lot that goes into the big moments, a lot of little moments that build it up. Um, a lot of preparation, not an overnight thing at any way at all.
So you think maturity plays a big role on how things work?
Yeah, I think it's maturity, but I also think it's just, I'm someone, I don't want to skip any seasons. I don't want to skip, like for a touring example, I don't want to skip driving my car and running my car into the ground to go on tour. And I don't want to skip like the disgusting hotel rooms, but that's what we can afford moments, or driving all night. I don't want to skip anything. And I think as you go through those steps, you are maturing and you're growing and you're learning how to handle situations, and how to handle things is huge. And it's not even because you're not mature enough or you don't have it in you. It's a lot of pressure. And with every opportunity, there's a lot of excitement, but there's a lot of pressure that comes with it too. And I don't think I could have handled the pressure that came with like the Chevy deal a year ago. I just wasn't in that place yet. So just, yeah, just growing and learning and getting prepared for opportunities like that. But I do think maturity is part of it.
So I guess that rolls into like, how does this stage of your life feel compared to when you first moved to Nashville?
Oh, I feel much more in a confident space. I feel like I know who Brooke the human being is, and I feel like I can boldly say I know who Brooke Lee is as an artist. I didn't have that when I first moved here. I didn't have that a year and a half ago. I've lived a lot of life in between, a lot of really exciting music moments, but just also a lot of personal life and experiences, and gained a lot of perspective. So I feel like I am sitting in a much better place, with knowing who I am, and I have an amazing team around me. I feel good. I feel very, at least for today and tonight, I feel very at peace. And it's been a big thing for me, is just trying to follow peace. But this is an industry where it's up and down on a roller coaster at all times. So in this moment, everything feels really good.
How does it feel having a team around you compared to trying to do everything yourself?
Amazing. It's the biggest blessing in the world. And it was very hard for me to adjust to having a team, because for so long I was in control of everything. I was in control of booking myself, I was in control of social media, promoting my music. I had a system and a way and all of that. And not even just having a way, this career and this music is literally everything to me. It's everything. And you're trusting other people to help nurture this dream of yours. And it's a very vulnerable thing. And I don't know, but having people that see it and they see the vision all the way through and they're really pushing it is incredible. It's also just a blessing I brought on my manager a couple years ago, and she has helped take so much of the workload off as far as like the business side of it. And now I feel like I'm finally able to just be the artist and to be the creative. I'm not walking into writing rooms and stressed over the things I need to post later or do later, because I have help. So it's really nice. But I think, you can have a team and that's great, but to have a team that supports the way mine does is, I feel like so special, and they show up to everything. And it's been awesome. I love them. They're the best.
You think having them boosts your creativity?
Yeah, I feel like they're people that I can go to each one of them and have separate conversations and get a completely different perspective. So that's always something really neat. Frank Rogers, who again is over the head of Spirit, I'll turn in a song, and the takes that he has on songs sometimes, like, wow, like it's literally happened the other day. I turned in a song a couple weeks ago, and he emailed me back and he's like, have you thought about it this way? Or like, if you put this one line, it would really do this. And so it's so neat kind of just getting in other people's brains in this industry, and seeing the ways that they would sculpt something differently than I would. But they also are really great about, they've gotten to know me as a human being and they've taken the time to do that. And they really give me the space to go travel, to go on road trips or whatever that space looks like to get creative and find inspiration. For me, I find my most inspiration when I'm on the road or I'm meeting strangers and talking to people. And they are really great about being flexible in my schedule to allot the time for me to go do that. So all the way around, they are very encouraging of my inspiration and put me in a lot of great positions to gain perspectives for stuff.
And you're about to go on a headlining tour.
Yeah, I'm excited. We've got a couple of things lined up. March 5th, we'll be in Charleston. So I'm very excited about that. I just finished making some merch for it. And then we'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina on April 16th, which is my hometown. So I'm very excited to be there. And then we'll head to Atlanta to Eddie's Attic on the 17th of April. So we've got a couple things coming up and I'm really stoked. It's going to be fun. Excited to see who shows up.
And like you said earlier, it's just going to be you and your car heading out there, huh?
Wow. Yes. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm very thankful to be driving the truck from the commercial. She's the baddest thing ever. I feel I might be on top of the world. I feel like huge compared. But before that, I had a new car for 3.5 years or so, 4 years, and we put well over 100,000 miles on that car just from being on the road. So we definitely burn up some miles and make it happen.
Now, with this tour and stuff, I mean, this is pretty much like your tour. Did you plan this? And
I have a booking agency, or CAA is who I'm with, and so they played a good role in it and getting us offers for some of these shows. We had started entertaining the idea last year of wanting to do headline, but we wanted to make sure I got a project out kind of at the same time and had something to be promoting. So once we got towards the end of this project and getting it together, some of these headlining shows started to pop up, and hopefully there will be a lot more of them. I feel really good about it once all this music comes out or we land a tour. I'm just ready to be on tour all the time. I want to take me on the road.
you think you think it'll be any more intimidating you being the headline?
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited, but I will be the first to say I'm very nervous. I am a huge believer in playing to the one or playing to the thousand, but at the same time, you want to walk out and see people at your show. So I know I just hope people buy the tickets and show up, but I think they will. It's going to be a really fun change of pace because the last year I mean, even longer than that, most of our shows have been acoustic opening slots. And usually we get 30, 35 minutes. So your adrenaline starts kicking in and then it's done and that's it. So it'll be fun. We have a 75-minute set, full band, got the whole thing. So it's going to be a whole different ball game. I'm very excited though.
Do you and the band practice a lot, or are you
Oh
just pretty
yeah.
seasoned from playing
Yeah.
forever?
No, we had a 4-hour rehearsal actually yesterday. But we're rehearsing and getting everything dialed in, and we don't. I feel like we don't play the same show all the time. We're always switching it up, and we keep our own selves on our toes. So we have been rehearsing, and I'm very excited to bring the band. It's gonna be a good show. Lots of new music too.
Do you try to throw like little things into each show that make each one different?
Yeah, I feel like we'll switch up our covers here and there. And sometimes, I mean, I'm definitely someone, if in the moment I'm like, hey, I just think we should play this song, I'll throw everybody for a loop and we'll throw the song in. But I would say the standout thing coming to a Brooke Lee show is actually my merch. I mean, the show too. But I make my own merch and I thrift a lot and just myself. I've always been a thrifter, but at earlier stages, I couldn't afford t shirts or anything, and we weren't making money on the road. So a friend of mine has her own business where she or thrifts clothes and turns them into other things and sells. And she's like, why don't you just do this for your merch? And I thought, well, why not? So I started doing that. It's been several years now, and now we have t-shirts too. But it's a fun part of the show, and I thrift everything. Half the time, I'm making it outside the venue. It's crazy, but it's a good little outlet for me, and then it's a fun way to bring something unique to everybody who comes to a show.
Hmm. I think it'd be cool to be somewhere and see someone wearing your merch.
I know. I would love that. I've had a couple actually in Charleston. When I first started making it, a friend of mine, Joshua Hewitt, he bought one, and then I got a text from someone randomly in Charleston that didn't know Josh and said, "Oh my God, someone's walking in your flannel," and it ended up being him. It was awesome.
All right, I got a couple more questions for you
Yeah.
here. What would 19-year-old Brooke be most shocked about today?
Well, on a personal note, she would be very surprised that her and her boyfriend didn't make it, I'm sure. um, I was in a relationship for a serious one for 4 years, and so I met and I started dating him when I was 19. So I'm sure she would be like, "What happened here?" But on a music side, I think she would be probably a little surprised, but very thrilled about the way that I really have leaned into the vibier sounds and music, some more pop leaning. I feel like when I first got to town, I was like, no pop. Even though I loved it, it felt like I had to be something down the middle country. And it's evolved so much. And I feel like I'm kind of in my own lane now. So I think she would be surprised, but really, really stoked and proud to have made the progress we did on the sound.
So if you did classic rock and then what switched it up to right down the middle country?
Well, when I first came to visit, what I was recording was pretty country. And then when I came back to town and like to Charlotte, we started transitioning our covers to all country set. And so I did country for a few years. And then when I first got here, it goes back to not knowing who you are yet. And it's a whole learning process. And I feel like everybody I was put in a room with at the time just went for just country down the middle, and or like a Miranda Lambert vibe. I feel like I got boxed a little bit, and I just kind of, instead of figuring out, okay, like this doesn't feel like me, let's figure out what does. I let it. I lived in that space for a little bit. But yeah, just after coming to Nashville, I knew I wanted to pursue more of the country style, and I knew playing classic rock covers wasn't gonna advance me to where I want to get. It was time to get my own stuff, and I probably wasn't gonna write the best rock song for you, so went for country.
You can still belt out some of those classic rock songs,
We
though.
bring them back every now and then. Yeah, it's fun.
All right. So if there was a new listener and they're going to listen to your music, what would be the top three songs you'd want them to listen to?
So Beautiful for sure is my top one. That's an anthem song, and it's been so neat how people have connected to that one. Um, I would say Burn to Black, this one that I just put out at the top of the year. I feel like it's a really honest and very relatable season in life that we wrote about. So I think that would be a good one. And I would say Kill Me with Tequila. I think that's just one of the most, I'm so proud of that song. And also, Ryan Beaver sings on that with me. And he is someone who has been such an influence for me in the writing space and just the mental space, all of it. So, anytime we can shout out Ryan Beaver, Kill Me with Tequila.
And what should be people be watching out for next from you?
Well, this project will be out April 17th, which you can now pre save. So, all my social media. But new music past that, we're already in the works. I mean, there's a lot going on that side of things, and then hopefully we get really booked up. That is my plan, at least get this music out there and start touring more. So I'm really hoping the calendar gets filled up, and hopefully you can expect to see me on the road soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brooke, for joining me.
Absolutely, this is awesome.
All right. And you have a good evening.
Thank you
All
too.
right. Bye.